Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Silver Expertise Lessons of a Life Lived. So, last topic we had a little bit of fun with, and we're going to have some fun with this one. I was reminded of dive bars this past week. I should say last week. It brought up a funny memory that I have that I want to share with everybody. And so, dive bars. Think of dive bars that you've been to, and some of you may have not. You're definitely missing out if you haven't. So last week, a friend in Fort Lauderdale here took me to Fort Lauderdale's biggest dive bar. And I have to say, it was quite the experience. I don't know if any of you are aware of Bimini Bay Bar. Bimini Bay Bar, it's by the airport, kind of in the hidden, tucked away, back alley kind of place. And it was interesting. I can't go into everything that occurred there. This is not a gentleman's club. It was not a strip club or anything like that. It was a regular bar, but with a bizarre twist. And looking at this Reddit review after the fact kind of captures it. So just to share, there are two types of people in this world, the innocent and the people who know Bimini Bay Bar. I remember the first time someone brought me to Bimini Bay Bar because I was scared in my car and I was afraid if I left my car would be gone when it was time to leave. There are probably nicer places in Tijuana, safer too, but if you want Disneyland for degenerates, you've arrived at the right place. Walking through the door, porn on the TV slaps you in the face. Okay, I gotta edit this a little bit. As I found my seat for the evening, I ordered a beer from the bartender who looked oddly familiar. As my eyes traveled back up to this evening's film, I realized I was being served by a celebrity. Can't make this up. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that, but it was an interesting place. Definitely, when some of my friends travel into town just for fun, I think I'm going to take them there. And by the way, if you do go, please share with the bartender that you are there as a first timer. Be sure to do that. He'll thank me later. Now, you'll probably be pissed at me, but that's okay. So that was the second best dive bar that I've ever been to in my life thus far. First dive bar experience, well, shouldn't say first dive bar experience, but great. My best dive bar experience was in Key West of all places. And this was going back to the 90s. I had only been to Key West a couple of times prior to that. I wound up, when I was married, we had a timeshare there and we always went down for the offshore powerboat races and Thanksgiving and all that kind of good stuff. But I was still technically a newbie to Key West. And my buddies from high school, from the rifle team, Sid, Danny, Joe, and a bunch of people, we went down to Fort Lauderdale, play some golf, and then we made plans to go down to Key West for the weekend. So back in those times, you had the big Lincoln Town Car that you could fit like 6 bodies in the trunk. So we rented a black Lincoln Town Car, golf clubs in the back, luggage, everything, and we cruised on down to Key West. We get there, we check into this bed and breakfast, which was a very unique place. Little did my friend Sid tell me that it was the most haunted bed and breakfast in Key West, and I experienced it firsthand. And I'm telling you, I wasn't hallucinating. But before that, we go for a walk the next day. We go down to Kelly's. It's called Kelly's. I don't know if it's still called Kelly's. It was owned by Kelly McGillis, her husband. Great outside, inside restaurant, right by off the Truman Annex. So we go there for some lunch. We have some beers. We have a sandwich. And then it was Danny. Danny said, my friend says there's a locals bar on this street next to the Bull Inn. Now, the Bull Inn is on the corner of Duval, famous, same as Sloppy Joe's and Uncle Captain Tony's and all those places. A Hog's Breath. It's one of those institutional places in Key West. So we start walking down the street and I'm like, guys, I've only been here a couple of times, but I'm telling you, there's no bar next to the Bull Inn on the side street. These are all houses. These are all houses. There's nothing here. So as we're walking closer and closer, there's this brick house next to the Bull Inn. And the closer we're getting there, we see people inside. There is a bar. And also let me preface with, I was dressed like this for Key West. And this, as anybody who's been to Key West, is way overdressed because we're golfing. All we have is golf attire. But your normal Key West attire is bathing suit, flip-flops, and a ratty t-shirt. That's standard issue every day, spending a day in Key West. Definitely polo shorts, polo top, definitely out of the question. You stick out like a sore thumb. Plus, I think I was wearing a pink Ralph Lauren polo shirt that day, so I even stuck out even more. So as we're walking closer to the building, we look, and there's a doorway, just like there would be in a house, but there's no door. There's no physical door. There's no hinges. There's no nothing. There's just an open doorway. That's it, open doorway. So there's windows, except there's big old openings, but there's no windows inside. So the closer we walk to the door, the sketchier it looks inside. So the guys are like, what do you want to do? Looks a little sketchy. I said, screw it, we're here. Let's go inside. So we walk in the door, and it's like one of those where everybody's head turns and like the record needle goes screeching across the turntable back in the day. Everybody turns around, looks at us, and we walk in. We go ahead, we walk in, and the people are a little rough looking, a little rough, actually very rough looking. It's okay, don't judge, all cool. We walk up to the bar, and I asked the bartender for 5 draft beers. So she comes back and hands me 5 draft beers in a big plastic cup, and she said that'll be $5. So I'm thinking, $5 each, give her $25. All of a sudden she goes, no. She goes, it's $1 a beer. It's $5 total. So I gave her $5, and then I gave her a 20 for tip. And I said, thank you very much. So this place had black and white photos of Key West from the early 90s, the mid 90s, the 80s. I mean, it was almost like a library or a museum of Key West back in the day. So me, Sid, Joe, and Dave, we kind of break up, and we're kind of walking around, and we're checking things out, admiring all the photos. And this biker guy comes walking up to me, probably 60s, maybe 70, leather jacket, denim jacket over it, biker chain wallet, biker boots, the whole 9 yards. And he comes up and he goes to me, you from around here? I said, no, we're from this little place called New Jersey. So he goes, you don't belong here. This is our home. So I looked at him and said, okay, well, just ordered 5 beers from the bartender, gave her a 5 for the beers, gave her a $20 tip. Not looking to start any trouble. We're just looking to hang out. We're admiring all the photos on the wall. He goes, you don't get it. And he starts doing the finger pointing at me. He goes, this is our home. I said, okay. I said, so if this is your home, would you mind if we just kind of look around? Our friend told us that this is a great locals bar. We want to check it out. We don't want any problems. We just gonna buy, what? I said, I'll make you a deal. I said, how about we buy the entire bar around? I think there was maybe about 12 or so people in the place. So he goes to me, you listen and you listen good. You are the first tourists to come walking up to that door and not turn around and hightail it out of here scared for your lives. You guys can stay as long as you like. I'm like, wow, okay. Made a new friend. So we continue walking around and we're checking out, everything. So we walk up to the bar, we get another round of beers, and I start talking to the biker guy. And I said, this is a really cool place. I said, but you know what? I said, there's no sign outside. The place was called Reds. I said, there's no sign, there's no windows, there's no doors. I said, it's kind of an interesting place. He goes, look around this bar. He goes, you see everyone here? He goes, we are all homeless, including the bartender. We sleep on the beach at night, and then we come here, and this is our home during the day and in the evening before we go back to the beach to go to sleep. We met the most interesting people. So we got there around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We left, well, let me preface it, I left at 2 a.m. I think the guys, they hung out maybe about another hour, but we partied and talked and laughed, and we heard the most incredible, some bizarre stories. Everyone had a story. Some were on the run from the feds. Some were commercial fishermen, commercial lobstermen. Some were drug smugglers. Some sailed back and forth on their sailboat back to Cuba and back. Just a crazy, crazy stories. And we had the most wonderful time. Unfortunately, there weren't smartphones then, or else we would have taken pictures and video. It was just absolutely one of the most amazing experiences I have had, and I think my buddies have had when it comes to going to a bar. So now I go back to the artist house, the bed and breakfast. Sid and I were sharing a room, and we were all the way up on the 3rd floor, and it had a dormer, a circular stairway up to a dormer. So I go back to the room. I got a good buzz on. We were drinking beers for 12 hours. I lay in bed, and I hear this blood-curdling scream upstairs. Blood-curdling scream. So I just close my eyes, and I'm like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. I pass out. Next morning, we all wake up, we go downstairs, and I see Discovery Channel out front with a television crew. So I talk to Sid. I'm like, Sid, what the hell's up with this? He goes, I don't know. So I talked to the owners, 2 gay gentlemen, wonderful guys. And I said, hey, so what's up with the Discovery Channel? He goes, oh, there's the most haunted house in Key West. They're here to do a story. So I said, well, I got to tell you, last night I was up in bed, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm trying to go to sleep, and I heard blood-curdling scream upstairs. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, yeah. He goes, that was the ghost. I said, the ghost? He said, yeah. He goes, we have rooms here that we go ahead and lock the door, and nobody will be in that room, and we'll go in their room a week later or 2 weeks later, and the whole entire room will be tossed. Wow. First of all, I'm never letting Sid make hotel making reservations again because we're going to Marriott. We're going to the Marriott, and that's where we're staying next time if we do this again. So then, the two guys were like, "Where'd you go last night?" And we said, "Oh, we went to Reds." Their eyes flew out of their head, and they were like, "What? You went to Reds? Nobody goes there. That place is not safe." I said, "We were there for 12 hours hanging out with everybody. We had a great time. We had a blast." And they couldn't believe it. They could not believe it. So that was the greatest dive bar that I had been into. A dozen or so homeless people in there. And the stories were just incredible. I think whenever we bring it up, to this day, Sid, Dan, Joe, we say, hey, remember going to Reds and whatever the experience that was, and just the people were incredible. And then when we were leaving, we loaded up the town car. We pulled in front of Reds. I guess it was like around 11 a.m. We were heading back up to Fort Lauderdale to the airport. We pulled up. The same group of people came running out to hug us goodbye, and it was like we were celebrities. It was just like they considered us their best friends. It was an amazing experience of learning about people. They accepted us, and we accepted them, and it was really, really cool. Definitely will never ever forget it. And I wanted to share it with everybody. And going to Bimini Bay Bar last week reminded me of sharing the Red story. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you on the next episode. Take care and have a good night.